series of CAIIB preparation. We are targeting the June 22 exam. Okay, so always be focused on whatever you are doing. Okay, firstly I would say download Adda 24/7 app. Also join Officers Adda 24/7 YouTube channel. Then in Adda 24/7 app you will be getting all the study material, video lectures, live classes, tests, everything in one go only. So you need not go anywhere. Okay, so download it first and then move ahead. Okay, also you can join this, you should join in fact Officers Adda 24/7, because here you will get all the updates of various banking exams. Okay, a dream becomes a goal when action is taken towards its achievement, right? Where any dream, if it's just a dream, you don't act on it, it's just a means wishes. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride, right? Yesterday also I told you the same thing. We have ABM, BFM and retail batch started from March 28, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. It's a totally English batch. Join that first. Okay, we are targeting June 22 exam over there. Importantly, remember BFM is starting in the month of May, so join as fast as you can. Okay, we are the official publishing partners of Macmillan and we have joined hands with this IIBF, so definitely you can avail all the discounts and all the books of Macmillan through us also. So use this code Y432. Okay, I'll show you at the end how to use it for the classes. So let's start with the topic. So the topic is supply and demand, theory of supply and theory of demand. Here basically remember, theory of supply means basically how the supplier or the seller will try to sell if the price goes on increasing. So theory and supply and demand shows how consumer preferences determine consumer demand for the commodities, while business costs determine the supply of the commodities. It's very simple sentence over here. Theory of demand will show consumer behavior, means consumers demand for the commodities with respect to the prices, and this supply curve will show business costs, means how the business costs will determine the supply of commodities. And basically remember, supply curve means how much the supplier will try to sell if the prices increase. Of course he or she will try to sell more, isn't it? The relationship that exists between price and quantity is what is called demand schedule or the demand curve. The quantity demanded increases with the fall in price. So this is basically the law of demand. Okay, supply and demand. So demand and supply schedule. What do you mean by schedules here? It is in exam you will be getting a separate question, demand schedule separately and supply schedule separately. Okay, but here I have combined it because it means one and the same. It is a numerical tabulation showing the quantity of demand or supply, as the question will be, at selected prices. A demand or supply schedule can be of two types, individual and market. Okay, so what is individual and what is market? Individual demand schedule or supply schedule. Let's consider anything. Let's consider demand schedule. Individual demand schedule will contain what? See here, there are 5 persons, let's say. The total market consists of 5 persons. We are considering a hypothetical situation. The total market consists of four persons. Okay, so each one will try to buy some quantity, let's say any XYZ quantity. So if the price is 100, he will buy some quantity. If the price is 50, he will buy the similar quantity at a higher level, means more of that quantity, and it goes on increasing, right? This is for demand. And for supply it will be the reverse thing, means 20 will be here and the quantity supplied it will go on reducing as the prices go down. So we are now only considering the example of demand. So this schedule of each individual is known as demand schedule of individual. Okay, this schedule of B is known as demand schedule of B. This schedule of C is known as demand schedule of C. Now similar example can be given for D, and also similar example can be given for supply schedule. If I replace this demand to supply, it will be like quantity supplied. So again the same logic will apply, only the things will be reverse over here. When the price is 100, I will try to sell more. When the price reduces, I'll try to sell less, right? Because the profit will change, isn't it? So remember, individual demand means each person's individual demand or each firm's individual demand. Now what is market demand then? Market demand is the aggregate or total of all these. Now look at this. 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2, it is 6. So 6 is the aggregate over here. 2 plus 5 plus 2 plus 4, 13 is the aggregate sum, right? Similarly, if you see, all of these are sums. So market demand or supply schedule will always be the total of individual demand and supply schedules. Got this point? Very important one. And law of supply and demand, will see that here. Law of demand and law of supply, we'll see that now. Quantity and price are inversely related in demand schedule, basically. Okay. So the law of demand states that if all factors remain equal, the higher the price of a good, the less people will demand for that good. Means if the price of anything goes up, the people will consume it less. Now this is true for basically all the lavish goods or non-necessary goods. Suppose if there is a quantity, let's say food items. So if the price goes up, will you consume less? Or petrol? If the price goes up, will you consume less? Right? So it's like this. These things apply to valuable goods. Okay? So you can compromise on the valuable goods, but you can't compromise on the necessary goods. So this law of demand applies to that only. The higher the price of the good, lesser people will demand that good. In other words, higher the price, lower is the quantity demanded. Okay. So as price goes on increasing, the quantity demanded will go on decreasing. Okay. This is law of demand. We'll show this in the graph also later. Supply, law of supply. Law of supply will always be upwards. Law of demand will always be downwards. Okay. You'll see this when we show you in the graph. If the price of the commodity rises, the level of quantity supplied rises. Other factors remaining same. Means if I am the supplier, imagine you are the supplier, you are a businessman. What will you do? If the quantity of, let's say, X product is 100 rupees. So and your profit is, let's say, 20 rupees. Now if the quantity increases from 100 to 150, so profit will definitely increase. So what will you do? You will try to sell more because you are getting higher income. So that's why under law of supply, the quantity supplied always rises with the rise in prices. Okay. Supply curve. Supply curve is the graphical representation of supply schedule when other factors affecting the supply remain constant. Other factors means income of other persons and all those things. So basically, if you are only comparing price and quantity, then it's called as a supply curve. The supply schedule relates the quantity supplied of a good to its market price and other things being constant. So always remember, demand curve and supply curve are always related to price. It is price versus quantity always. Okay. The market equilibrium comes at a price and quantity where the forces of supply and demand are in balance. So what is equilibrium? Equilibrium means where the supplier and the person who is buying agree to a price. Now let's take an example. You go to a vegetable vendor for daily purchasing vegetables, right? How do we do? Suppose if he says the tomatoes are, let's say, 100 rupees kg. So what will you say? And if you want to reduce it, you will say ready to give to for 70. Then there will be some equilibrium price. Means he will come down from 100 to, let's say, 80, 85. You will go above by 10, 80, 85, something like that. And both of you will agree at certain price. And then the business will happen. So what is the logic? The both buyers and suppliers agree at certain price, and that price is known as market equilibrium price. Okay. At equilibrium price, the amount that the buyer wants to buy is equal to the amount equal to the quantity amount the seller wants to sell, right? So both the amounts get equal. That is the important part. Also it is called as market clearing price. Market clearing means what? At this point the business happens. So the seller can also sell his goods and buyer can also buy those goods, right? See this. Now you'll understand this better. See this downward sloping curve is demand curve. Price versus quantity. Okay. So as the price is going on increasing, or I will say, take it reverse way. As the price goes on decreasing, so what is happening? This demand curve is sloping downwards. As the price goes on increasing, or again the same thing, price goes on decreasing, so the supply curve moves upwards. Okay. So combining both, price goes down, demand curve slopes downwards. Price goes down, price goes means decreases, so the supply curve will also change. As the price goes on increasing, the supply curve will go up. As the price goes on decreasing, means let's say P1 to P2, price has come down, so the demand curve will slope down. Always remember, demand curve will always slope downwards, okay, and supply curve will always slope upwards. So demand and supply curve are plotted against price versus quantities, okay. Now what is this equilibrium price? See this, demand and supply curve meet each other. This point is known as equilibrium. Got this point? At this point, the price agreed by the seller and price agreed by the buyer are equal. Got this point? So above this, it is called as excess supply. Means what? Above this point, the seller will have the goods for supplying, but nobody will be there to buy. And below this point, demand will be there for the goods, but nobody will be ready to sell, because the seller can't sell it at a price lower than the equilibrium price. Otherwise, he will lose the profits. So will he sell? No, right? Now let's come to few objective questions. Which of the following is an assumption made while drawing the demand curve? So which is the assumption? The demand curve must be linear. The price of the substitute should not change. The quantity demanded should not change. The price of the commodity should not change. So what is, while drawing the demand curve, what is assumed? Think over it. Give me the answer. I'll wait for 5 seconds. So demand curve must be linear? No. Price of the substitute should not change? Can think of. Quantity demanded should not change? That is not possible. Price of the commodity should not change? That is also not possible. So answer is, price of the substitute should not change. That's why we say other things remaining constant. Okay. The elasticity of demand for durable goods is, so durable goods means what? White goods. White goods means what? That fridge, refrigerator, television, all those things. Okay. So these are called as white goods. So elasticity of demand for durable goods is 0, equal to unity, greater than unity, less than unity. So what do you think of elasticity of demand? I have solved a problem also later. We'll see to it. Okay. So it is what? Greater than 0, less than 0, equal to, greater than 1, or less than 1. What do you say? So the answer is think. Yeah, answer is greater than unity. Always greater than unity means what? Change in price upon change in quantity upon change in price. Okay, that is percentage change. So quantity changes with a greater respect in respect to the price changes. Okay. If the price changes by 1 rupee, the quantity demanded will change more than 1 rupee. Okay. Law of demand shows the relationship between. So law of demand, what did I say? The demand curve is always plotted between. Yes, that is the only answer. So quantity and demand and quantity of supply. Demand and supply. Income and quantity demand. So income and demand. Price and quantity of the commodity, and income and price. So which is the answer? Which is the answer? First, second, third, or fourth? Okay. Just now we saw it, isn't it? So price and quantity, this is the answer, right? Always demand curve and supply curve are plotted on price versus quantity. Y-axis price and x-axis quantity. When the price of a product falls by 10% and its demand rises by 30%, then the elasticity of the demand is? Okay. So how is elasticity of demand calculated? So elasticity of demand is always calculated based on what? So the formula is percentage change in quantity upon percentage change in price. I have taken this in my earlier lecture also. Okay. So percentage change in quantity. So percentage change in quantity is what? Price of product and demand rises. So quantity is changing by 30%. So 30% upon percentage change in price. So that is 10%. So 30 upon 10. 10 3s are 30. So answer is dp upon dq equals to 30 upon 10 equals to 3 is the answer. Okay. If quantity demanded of a commodity is unresponsive to the change in prices, means you change the price, anything you do, but quantity demanded always remains the same. Does it happen anywhere? Where does it happen? Suppose if there are many cigarette smokers, what happens? They have a habit of smoking 5 cigarettes a day, many of them. So if they smoke 5 cigarettes and if the price of the this cigarette increases, will they smoke lesser cigarettes? Never it happens. They'll smoke the same amount of cigarettes. Okay. Similarly, petrol or diesel. Will your car or will your vehicle consume lesser diesel or petrol if the price increases? No. Similarly, basic food items, rice, jawar, bajra and wheat, right? If the price of rice or wheat increases, will you consume lesser? You will eat whatever is required, right? So basic food items never change, even though the price changes. That's why this relates to that point. If quantity of the demanded of a commodity is unresponsive to the changes in price, then the demand for the commodity is perfectly elastic, elastic, unit elastic, inelastic. Inelastic means like that rubber, elastic rubber, right? Inelastic means it can't be stretched. So what can be the answer? Perfectly elastic, right? Perfectly inelastic. Okay, so perfectly inelastic means the price changes do not affect the quantity demanded. Either you increase the price, either you decrease the, or see, that's why always you see in the budget, always in the budget, the price on the liquor and price on the cigarettes always increase. Why? Because they know the cigarette smokers won't change their habit, right? Also in budget or in midterm also, the petrol prices are increased always. Okay. When elasticity of demand for a commodity is very low, it shows that the product elasticity of demand is very low. It shows that the product is, now think over it, just now I gave you the example, has little importance in the total budget, is a luxury, is a necessity, none of the above. So elasticity is less means what? Even if you increase the price, the percentage change in quantity demanded does not change, it remains the same. What is the law of demand? If price increases, the quantity demanded should decrease, right? But it never happens. When does it never happen? So then it's a necessity, right? Petrol, cigarettes, means not cigarettes actually, cigarette is a necessity for the smoker, right? So petrol, basic food items, right? Which of the following is not a cause of the shift in demand for the product? What do you mean by shift in demand curve? See here, always remember, shift in demand curve or supply curve never happens because of price or quantity. It always happens because the statement which, what do we always say in demand curve and supply curve? That other things remaining constant. So if these other things change, then it's called as shift in demand or demand or supply curve. So change in price of the substitutes, change in income of the consumer, change in price of the products, and none of the above. So what will change the what will shift the demand curve? So change in price or change in income, definitely not the price of the product. So either of these, first and second. So which is the answer? Think over it. Okay, got it? The answer is change in price. Why? Why change in price? I just now said change in price can't be the answer because we didn't read the question correctly. What was the question? Which of the following is not a cause? Not a cause means change in price of a product is is not a cause for shift in the demand curve. What did I say? When does the demand or supply curve shift? Shift means what? Other than the price of the product. If due to which the demand or supply curve changes, that is known as the shifting of demand curve. So always remember, shifting of demand or supply curve always happens with respect to not the price of that product, but that other things remaining constant. Those other things change. So price of the substitutes, that changes, then it will be a shift in demand curve. In change in income of the consumers, that will also lead to shift in the demand curve, right? So that is the answer for this. We want not a cause. That's why this is directly related to demand and supply curve. It is not a cause for shift in the demand or supply curve. Okay. When demand for a product is perfectly inelastic, the price increase will result in perfectly inelastic. Just now we saw that example, cigarettes, right? So price increase will result in what? Decrease in the quantity demanded, no change in total income, an increase in the total income, and reduction in the total income. I know you might be thinking this B answer, no change in total income, but that is not the answer. Why? So the answer is increase in total income. Why didn't this? Why not B? Because understand this concept. The quantity demanded will be the same, because it's a necessity, right? So if quantity demanded is same, earlier I was getting 100 rupees per kg if I am the seller. Now I am getting 130 rupees per kg, so 30 rupees is my increased profit, right? So it will increase the income of the product. Okay, so this is, understand this. This is known as what is perfectly inelastic demand. See here, price perfectly inelastic demand, and this is known as inelastic demand. Means perfectly inelastic means whether the price increases or decreases. See this, the quantity demanded always remains same, and this is inelastic demand, means it is near to perfectly inelastic. See, the curve is more than 45 degrees. Okay, so that's why it's inelastic demand. Okay, in case of price of product and the total revenue from the product move in the same direction, then the demand is, means price of the product and total revenue move in the same direction, means price increases, total revenue also increases. Just now we saw it, perfectly elastic, inelastic, elastic, unrelated. So what is the answer? It is inelastic. Just now we saw this question, earlier one, right? Means if it's perfectly inelastic, the price increase will lead to increase in total income, isn't it? So inelastic. Would an increase in demand for a product cause the supply curve to shift in any direction? Increase in demand for a product. So increase in demand will lead to, will it have any effect on the supply curve? No effect. Change in slope, the supply curve will move to right, supply curve will move to left. Think. You might be thinking that there will be some change, but the answer is no effect, because supply curve has nothing to do with demand curve. Okay, supply curve moves due to its own factors. Okay, if the elasticity of supply is greater than 1, the supply curve would be touching y-axis, passing through origin, vertical and horizontal. So elasticity of supply now, it is greater than 1, so it will be touching y-axis. See this is the figure, touching, see it is cutting y-axis over here, because elasticity of supply is greater than 1. Okay, one sec. So basically these were the important questions over here. Last two I'll take just now. Okay, one I'll take more. In a particular year, the farmers experience dry weather. If all factors remain the same, the supply curve of the wheat for the farmers will shift to dash direction. So in this, what has happened? Dry weather means wheat will have produced lesser. So if it has been produced less, then supply curve will move leftward. See this, supply is reducing, right? Quantity supplied will reduce. So that's why it is called as shift in the supply curve. Okay, so these are mixed economies. We have already explained this, so today we won't be covering. So again I would be telling you, join our ABM BFM retail batch. We just started from March 28, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. It's an English batch. Remember, the fees, we are having huge discounts going on for the fees. So that is very important for you. Remember. So how to get the discount? See this. I'll show you how to get the discounts on the fees. See this. You go to Adda 24/7 first page. Then you see this banking and insurance JAIIB CAIIB. Click on JAIIB CAIIB. You'll get JAIIB CAIIB Mahapack, JAIIB and CAIIB. Click on CAIIB. Okay, CAIIB. You'll get all the courses over here. These courses. See these. Right? These courses. So click on the batch. Once you click on the batch, what you get? See this. The details of total batch. Okay. Once you get the details of the batch, go through those details and view these offers. See this, fees 17.99 and view offers. So once you view the offers, what happens? You'll get a coupon code over here. So put this coupon code over here. Okay, Y432. See the fees now, how it changes. Apply. So the fees was reduced by 13,859 to 4139. So once the fees is reduced, it's just 4139 and you get all these ABM VFM retail over here, right? And test and topic wise test, then class, everything. And how much time will it require to recover the funds? Roughly 2 increments you get roughly 1300 into 3 months means 4th month you will be having excess, right? From 4th month onwards, whatever you earn will be for your lifetime. Okay, so that's why join the class immediately, I would say.